Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and get back into it. Now, the big question is, where exactly did we leave off? I believe we had mostly done this, although it actually seems like this up here got jammed somehow. And I'm not sure how that's happened. So, oh wait, is these two aren't actually connected? Is that it? Okay, let's find, where is it? Foundations. Yes, so if we put a foundation there, so this belt wasn't connected up to the legendary output, which was getting everything stuck. That was the problem. So that's an easy fix. We can just do that real quick, and then it should hopefully boot right back up. If not, we might have to dismantle and rebuild some of the belts. But we will see what happens with that. It's going to take a while for the foundation to get brought all the way down here, but that's probably it on that drone. So there we go. And just like that, we have our first chunk of stuff in there, and now this can all start going again, and hopefully it should catch up to where it needs to be pretty quickly, and then we can just have that back to normal running like this one is. Alright. So, with that problem fixed, let's see, was there anything in particular we were working on here on Novice? We've got plenty of blue circuits there. Okay, we probably need to improve our supply of productivity module tier 3s, which is mostly just waiting on the biter eggs, which we should be able to get pretty well. There's still the occasional biter hatching here, which is quite annoying. Oh, I see, because this is not output priorities, so some biters accumulate in this area, and then they just sit there until they hatch, so we can fix that just by swapping the priority on that splitter, and that should no longer be an issue. Okay. So, if we wanted even more biter eggs, how would we go about doing that? These guys can't be moduled. We could make quality captive biter spawners, I guess, to improve crafting speed, which I'm not sure exactly what the process for that is like. We would need quality uranium-235, quality biter eggs, and quality capture bot rockets. That doesn't seem super simple, so we're just going to leave that off. Oh, the other thing which I think I remember is if we go back to Fulgora, then, or not Fulgora, Vulcanus rather. I always get those two confused for some reason. We have this whole, where was it? The quality cycling setup? Yes, so this is now running, and it seems to be doing fine, mostly limited by green circuit supply potentially. So now we have legendary speed module tier 3s, which I believe these guys already have them, but we're going to want to deliver those to various other places so that we can use them as our main source of speed modules. Now, let's see here. So Fulgora is one of the places which wants better modules, because this scrap pile here is gradually decreasing. So if we take you and we start putting legendary big mining drills in here, that should dramatically decrease the drain rate. It's just, we have to get all of these lined up properly. So we can decrease the rate at which this drains the patch with legendary mining drills, and then that should mean this patch will realistically last as long as I want it to. So that all goes in, and we are a couple big mining drills short here, but we can do most of it. And let's just wait for those to show up and see what happens. So meanwhile, here we're still doing the annoying thing where we deliver a bunch of green circuits over to these guys to launch, which I really want us to not ever do, because it's just a horrible waste of drones. And so I think we want to add more rocket silos to this so that this is more than just one. So let's get that designed. So we're gonna need, let's go with just like a bunch of them. Right, so if we just go with 5, that should be plenty. And then they're each going to get some speed modules so that they can produce quickly, and productivity modules so that they don't waste resources, and we can make those higher tier modules at some point if we want. And then we need to, we actually need to apparently get more rocket fuel here. So we need to set that up to 200 so that they will deliver more rocket fuel at a time. Because that's obviously a limiting factor, which we don't want to have. So, now that we do that, we can take out this random pipe which doesn't do anything. And then we want each of these to, I'm trying to think if there's a better way of doing this that isn't going to involve like 10 billion individual buffer chests, which are going to take a while to fill, but I think that is ultimately the best way of doing it. So then we just need to get this row connected up, not like that. And then that just goes all the way forwards. And can we just move that drone port? Just put it out there, maybe. So this whole thing will get built up. And I believe Fulgora has launch pad production here. It does, but it needs electric engine units. So are one of you guys responsible for bringing electric engine units? Doesn't seem like it. Oh, novice. Some biters have gotten in somewhere on novice. Yeah, they've gotten in here somehow. Alright, so let's get some laser turrets, and then how on earth did a biter get there, of all places? It's defend it. Is this that thing which I was worried about, where a drone carrying a biter egg, the biter spoils just like randomly over the middle of nothing, and then causes this to happen? Yeah, because I think we just saw a biter egg carrying drone just fly over here. That might have been what happened, which is kind of a crazy occurrence. If not, then we will just expand that wall up and then get laser turrets to cover all this new space like that. Should be good enough. Alright, so in case that was somehow the problem, it's no longer the problem. And there's no reasonable way for them to like come in through here and then around this way. And I think it might be the drones airdropping the biter eggs in. That's the only thing I can think of. Also, apparently there are tiny gaps in our lightning coverage here on Fulgora, so we can get those fixed up. And then we need to get all of these guys powered up, which will just be something like that. And that should be it. So we have all this, and then we just need to get that belt to go forwards like so. And then when we want to switch over to this new system, once it's all built up and looped in properly, which it should be close enough, we just do that. And so now all these circuits are going to get picked up by these boxes, and our supply of legendary iron and copper from here is going to take a bit of a hit. It's going to be a while before that recovers, because we have to fill all of these boxes with green circuits first. But it should get there sooner rather than later. So eventually it'll be done, and we just need to get these electric engine units somehow. So, okay, transport platform carries electric engine units, probably for that very reason. So you can fly up to Fulgora and drop those off. Should be all good there. And then we need to figure out where these guys are getting legendary green circuits in the system from. So there is no supply, there's no passive provider chests which give them here. There is this box which has a couple thousand, but that's not even a provider chest. We can make it one though, because there's no point actively wasting all those resources. That's a lot of legendary green circuits after all. So we can make that a passive provider chest. Apparently you need a power pole in there to work properly. And oh, we need to get these guys powered up. So that goes in, and the settings are all correct, so that should be fine to start producing things. And that's going. Now we're seeing all these drones taking stuff out from here. I believe we had set up systems for putting like the regular commons and stuff back into circulation there. So that should be dealt with. that should be dealt with, and we've got plenty of buffer in here that we shouldn't break anything by introducing all that extra stuff. So that should be fine. This is just running along as usual. And it's all going well. This chemical plant is output full, which is good. That means we have enough sulfuric acid. And those green circuits in that box are eventually going to run out. And then we've got this thing down here, which is jammed again. We've disconnected it from input and it's still jammed. That's how jammed it is. Alright, so let's just go about fixing that by making those two, which were the ones that were jammed, those can get passive provider chests, and then dump all of this stockpile of uncommon stuff up into the top half so that these can actually be used. And then that will get all of this running temporarily, which should increase our production a little bit in the short term, but mostly it's just to not waste all these resources. Oh, there's another one in here which we can do. And then this first row we don't need to make that way because it's set up differently and it doesn't have anything in it. So that's all good. Transport platform is just going to be bringing those electric engine units back. Alright, so this is apparently launching a bunch of low-density structures up to Aquilo. So that's fine. That's got 800 on the way. So are those having to bring them from all the way across the planet again? Yeah, it looks like they are. So let's add those. We've got this buffer chest here, which we can just add 800 low-density structures to. And hopefully that'll fit in the empty slots. And the idea is that now we'll have those here, and the drones won't have to go all the way over to the low-density structure source to get them, and it'll just be fine as is. And we place that last power pole in up here. And all of these guys are getting their first wave of fuel brought in. And the green circuits are slowly going to be filling up all this extra space. We will still be getting some output just from the red circuits which get cycled down, but mostly just going to be filling these buffers for now, which is going pretty fast. So that's all good. Over here, these guys got all of their legendary mining drills. So I guess the next step to making this super efficient will be the legendary productivity modules. And this place does not need legendary speed modules because it's already outputting as fast as the trains can handle. So that shouldn't be an issue. These guys will all be productivity moduled up, and then we'll have to deliver some more in from the transport platform to finish them off. But it should be fine. So yeah, we could amp this up to make it load and unload scrap even faster, but I don't know how. So I guess the unload side of things we have completely maxed out, right? So if we just wait for train to get over here. There is a train on the way, right? We saw that one just leaving. Yeah, there's actually 2 trains on the way. So how fast does this unload? It's gotta be pretty dang fast. So yeah, there comes a train. So it's gonna be here, it's gonna unload 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's literally just 10 stack inserter flips and then it's done. That is very impressive. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so that is super quick. And it also seems to be just draining them onto the belts at that same speed. Like, there's basically no delay. Alright. So, I feel like we might need even more trains here. Because we've gotten all of those in, and now there's going to be this pause. So the output recycling lines here are evidently not going at full speed. So we could make these legendary and speed up that processing. Yeah, let's actually do that. Might as well. So we need you to be flipped vertically, apparently. And then we need to get you in. So all these upgrades go in. And which way are you facing? Okay, so you're facing that way. Let's just get all the ones facing the same direction so I don't have to constantly be flipping them back and forth. So now we rotate you around, flip you vertically, and then get these ones. Sort of slid off the side there. There we go. So that is all, and apparently we're only missing 2 legendary recyclers. So that should be fine. And most of these are coming in, and that should result in just instantly draining all the scrap that shows up, basically. Still getting the last couple batches of these guys in. Looks like this row is the last one, and that row, I guess. So yeah, now the scrap sorting is no longer happening because we have a delay in the train input. So that is going to have to be something that we fix, probably. We just need to like add more trains onto this line until it stops working somehow. Or we just have like a continual swarm of trains going in and out. So the ideal situation is that this one is going as fast as it possibly can. So currently, the ability to load these trains isn't really a major bottleneck. It's just the number of trains themselves. So let's add more trains onto the list. Also, let's get rid of that, which somehow didn't get placed on the... somehow didn't get dismantled properly. So we need more trains. So let's find somewhere that trains don't really go to often. Like, I don't know, over here maybe. One of these guys, because these don't do anything anymore. So we can actually what we can do is just take one of these trains, which I guess this one, because the ice cubes theoretically are sometimes used. But if we just empty out this train of all of its processing units, then... Oh, we were going to want to put this train on manual driving mode so it doesn't try to escape. And then empty it out of all these guys. Then we should be able to just swap this train over. It's going to take a little while to get all those processing units out, but that's fine. Also, for some reason, removing items from things like this is a construction drone's job, apparently, for some reason. Alright, so where are all these... Oh, down here. This is seemingly an entirely new way for drones to travel and get themselves zapped. So we're going to have to get that all covered. Alright, so that path can be covered like this approximately, and then the Spidertron will get out here to fill in actually placing those. It's on its way slowly but surely. And this train is in the process of being dismantled, and we're going to have all those extra blue circuits, which are going up here for some reason. Who knows what that's for. Right, Spidertron is in the region, so now we can actually see what's going on and just place a couple more lightning collectors so that we don't need to worry about weird little gaps. Okay, and then these two are theoretically just being built like so. Alright, so that should be that weird little path all cleared out. And this train is getting there. We can actually have the Spidertron help with that too, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe all of them have already been assigned. Okay, so apparently logistics storage for foundations, cliff explosives, and lightning collectors is not fantastic. So the foundations is the bigger problem, right? So which of you... Aquilo Stone brings foundations to Vulcanus. So who brings foundations to Fulgora? It's not Aquilo's Quantum Support. Is it... Okay, yes, it's Aquilo Support 2, which does that. So that's fine, then. As long as Aquilo is working, which it doesn't really seem to be. At least not super well. And how close is this? We're almost done clearing those train cars out. Our number of spare construction drones is increasing rapidly as well. So we just have to wait for these last couple, and then we can send this down the scrap path. Alright, just the longest possible delay on the last couple blue circuits. 12 more. That's literally like 3 drones worth, please. There we go. So this train is now cleared out. You can get added to the scrap and then go. So now you are going to go and do that. And then just for the fun of it, we will get another train built up to do the same thing. And that will get built. And then we can send it off to do the scrap stuff. So we're constantly grabbing all of those circuits out. So that should be draining into this and getting all this stuff built up. But it seems like it isn't. Wait a minute. Is this... Okay, yes. This is just cycling itself back and forth somewhat unproductively. So let's take that out. And we need to add these setups up here. So we get you to be epic green circuits and powered. And then we get you to be epic red circuits. And then we connect you up. And I think that's somehow in the world's tiniest power gap, so we can just put a pole there. And it should be all clear now, just with that. And this whole area has been assembled and should be removing the need for us to transport green circuits in this network. So let's check actually how many of those we even have. So legendary green circuits. We're going to have to get that placed before it'll tell us actually. So let's just remove that. And if we just temporarily add that to here, we have 34,000 legendary green circuits apparently, which is quite a lot. That's going to take a while to drain all of those out. But it'll get there eventually, and then we won't need to worry about it. So this is basically fully set up. Now let's check over to the scrap side of things, because we should have one more train there, and now this train has been built, so you get to be added to scrap as train number 7. So now, with all of that in, hopefully we can just get like a continual chain, right? So we can just get constantly, or near constantly, trains showing up here and doing their thing. And the sorting system seems to be working without incident. The iron gear wheels, we're going to have to investigate to make sure that that's still keeping up with everything, because it might not be. Okay, almost definitely not. So this train is already filled up, and there's still more coming in, and it hasn't even gotten out of the station yet. Okay, so that's not ideal. So first of all, is there any way to make this load faster? Oh wait, no, I clicked on the wrong one. So you are trying to... Okay, no, you have now finally left. I see what's happened. There's this particular row is getting dramatically less gear wheels, which is influencing the train's ability to unload. That's unusual, to say the least. How is that happening? Okay, so it's because of this, right? So this grabber hand here gets first dibs on this belt. Right, so that's just a mistake that we need to fix. So let's dismantle that, get the Spidertron up here for making this go faster. So you need to go in like that and that. And then this one goes in like that. And that one goes into there. And that all connects up like so. Then you wrap around like that. And, oh, that's a mistake. You actually need to now use that particular stack inserter at all. So now all of these are fully set up and ready to go. And it's just a matter of how many of these gear wheels we can get out at a time. Also, it looks like the gear wheel output is limiting the output of the rest of the items, but not by a huge amount, and because the scrap isn't going out at full speed, it should be fine. Hopefully. So that is all good. Now, I can't tell whether these belts are full speed or not. They don't have any gaps on them, which is a pretty good sign that that's full speed. Because if there were a gap like down here, where there's only blue belts, then we were able to tell in this area. Theoretically, at least. Okay, so is this going to be filling up properly now? You need to get basically enough gear wheels into this one that all the rest of these fill up, that this one can then empty out into the train and fill up the train instantly instead of having to wait. Which seems like it's certainly happening, right? A train can't carry that much. So that should be fine. And it's just a question of the gear wheel output, potentially. Okay, so now... Gosh, this is really annoying how this is worked out with like most of these being completely filled and then this one not being completely filled. So how many gear wheels can the train carry? Like 4,000, I would say. Yeah, so the train carries 4,000, and it was able to fully instantly load up, which is good, but it isn't able to get out through the train network fast enough. So that's an issue. And the belts here are all doing their thing. And yeah, we need to solve the traffic somehow, which probably means more than anything else getting the scrap trains a shorter path. So if instead of going out that way, if these train lines go up this way and just semi-directly into the scrap, that would save a ton of time in general. And we can even cut out the intersection. Yeah, okay, so I don't know why I didn't do this the first time. So this goes up here. And this also goes up here. And we kind of have to awkwardly sneak around this factory, but that works properly. And then, okay, what I want to do is basically go down to ground level here. So I don't know how to explain this, but we need to, if we can dodge under these existing tracks, then there won't be any point where the scrap trains intersect the other trains, and that will save a whole bunch of effort. It'll make them a lot faster. So we're going to need a whole bunch of foundation for that. 168 foundation to be precise. Plus some, probably, but it should be worth it if we can get this working. Alright, so that is 260 foundation. And Aquilo support 2. Do you have foundation? No. Does Aquilo have foundation? Technically, but not much. You are super low on stone. So is Aquilo stone? It's got 5,000 stone in its inventory. Okay, so are you outright low on stone, or is it just very difficult to deliver thousands of stone? It's just very difficult to deliver thousands of stone here. Okay. So first of all, let's set this up to a much higher number. And all of our logistics drones are now going to be occupied delivering stone. And there's no reasonable way, I guess. Okay, I guess what I can do is I can hook these into a much shorter trip that they need to take. So the stone is being stockpiled over there. Okay, but this is working. We are successfully building up more stone in here than it's using, which should mean that the demand for logistics drones should drop pretty quickly once this first batch of 500 is in. And then we'll just have to hope that this can actively produce enough to supply all that. Okay, novice. Where's that attack happening? Up here? Okay, so that is a little bit surprising about how that's seeing attacks, but it's fine. We will expand forwards then, just all the way up, so that we don't have to ever be attacked. And we just need to expand this up in a way that the power lines stay connected and everything. And then we can pop down another one of these guys at the end of this chain. And then that will all be set up. So hopefully this foundation problem can get solved relatively quickly. So now we have enough inputs, and it's just a matter of producing it at a rate of 0.12 per second. And we need 260, so that's gonna take a long time. And you're already speed moduled some, so adding more speed modules doesn't do all that much. But if we get legendary speed modules in and legendary assemblers in, then we can make it go quite fast. So, fast transport. You have legendary assemblers. I also want you to pick up some legendary beacons. And oh, hang on, you're technically not in a place which provides you power, so that potentially an issue. And then you're going to want legendary speed modules from Vulcanus. And then we'll just have to stop there. Once those get... We're going to have to wait for these to get delivered. Then bring you up to Vulcanus. And then bring you out to Aquilo. And that should hopefully accelerate things quite a bit. And also give you a nice restock on your fuel, because currently we have no spare fuel here, because you're not at Aquilo. Alright. Is this getting launched or what? What's the holdup? should maybe not have all of these rockets super far away from things. Okay, they did get launched. So now you can fly up to Vulcanus. And then stop there for a bit. We should have plenty of these guys now, right? We've got 122. Yep, that's looking pretty good. So you can pick those up and deliver the first batch up to Aquilo. And then on your return trip, you can hopefully bring some of this Foundation back down to Fulgora. Alright, so that's set up. This is still loading. It seems like it might be going okay. All of the gear wheels at the destination have been accounted for by the time the next one shows up. So that's not a problem as it is right now. And the cycling is happening, and is it just able to take these at full speed? It so far looks like it's able to take them at full belt speed, which should be more than enough. So that will go and drain out and then be all set up from there. We do have more scrap showing up than ever, but hopefully not to a degree where it breaks things. And this box still has leftover space in it. Okay, let's just get the rest of... Now we actually want the scrap to continue working, so we don't want to, like, dismantle things to fix all this until that's in place. I wish we didn't have to go underground for quite as far, but it is what it is. Fast transport is already here and receiving its legendary speed modules, which shouldn't take that long to launch, right? Although we don't have spectacular launching ability here. Should be good enough. And yeah, there they are. Alright, so those are up, and now you can fly up to Aquilo and hopefully get some of that fusion power. And let's set this up to 100. So there we go. Now you're going to be flying up to Aquilo. Hopefully this remaining fusion power here will last us. Shouldn't be an issue, but you never know. And we have 106 foundation here. And still no apparent shortage of any of these inputs. So it should be able to just keep producing until it's done. So Aquilo Support 2 is actually going to potentially get there first, which is all good by me, because it's should be stopping by Fulgora to deliver Foundation. Novice shouldn't need much. Okay, Novice is requesting 61 still, but that's not an issue at all. All the rest of this stuff is going. Oh, we're launching a whole bunch of train stuff. Fulgora support just showed up. That's why we're launching all that train stuff. Okay, so you're here. You still have plenty of extra space. You've got plenty of green and red circuits. And apparently another wave of stone has arrived here on Aquilo. And there's even more where that came from. So that's just gonna probably keep on happening, which is good. Yeah, so somebody has picked up all the foundations. Who is that? Okay, Aquilo Stone has picked it up, And you are going back to Vulcanus with this. How much foundation did Vulcanus even request? Where is your thing here? Alright, you don't need any additional... So you have 200 requested, but you don't need any more. Can I get you to just, like, stop by Fulgora real quick? And just drop some of this stuff off? Let's see, space map. Aquilo, Gleba, Vulcanus. No, it would be, like, extremely out of the way. Alright, that's annoying, but whatever. We'll just have to live with it. That's why we're trying to increase production speed, so that we don't have to worry about that anymore. So fast transport is already on the way. Boy, did I name this thing correctly. This thing moves. I didn't even realize it had made it to Gleba, much less be halfway to Aquilo. So you are going to make the machine and a legendary assembly machine. You're going to make the speed modules legendary speed modules, and then you're going to give it a beacon, a legendary beacon as well. And this is going to be like the world's fastest assembly machine, if we can find a way to squeeze the beacon in. Alright, so the beacon will go there, and you can get some speed modules preemptively. Apparently that power pole wasn't necessary, right? I'm looking around, I don't see any blinking lights. Aquilo doesn't even have any regular speed modules to spare. Probably they're in the Spidertron. There we go. So now this is 0.17 per second, which is a little bit better. And then once all the legendaries show up, it should probably get up to like 0.5 per second. Ooh, low power. What happened there? Why? Oh, I see. You did actually somehow get disconnected. I have no idea how that even makes sense, but sure. That's fixed. And yeah, everything's all connected up and good. We have way more power production than we could ever need. What was that all about? Okay, nothing about what just happened makes sense, so we're just going to ignore it. Fast transport is here. So, you are also going to be picking up some railguns, so that's nice. So you can drop your speed modules, your assembly machines, and your beacons. And you go from 0.18, I mean, you might get above 1, honestly. I guess we will see. So those are landing. We get that upgrade. Then we get that upgrade. Then we get that upgrade. Then we get that upgrade. Okay, yeah, you're going to be way above 1. 1.2. Yeah, 1.2 per second now. And we physically can't get enough tungsten rods into this machine fast enough, apparently. Yeah, now we're being limited by bulk inserter speed, which we can fix. So we just need another one. Alright, so you probably just do stone. Actually, no, let's just copy the whole settings across. So now whatever is in need, we can supply it from both sides. And then we are also going to want to set some of these numbers up. Let's set them to like 200 each. Of all of these guys. So those settings are in. And it seems like the stone is keeping up. And it's just taking so long that it's slowing down everything else around it. Alright, so you have 60-some. You're apparently outputting a bunch. Oh, Aquilo Support 2 is here. So you are going to be picking up all that foundation. And how is the drone loading going? Very slow. Very slow indeed. So that's partially because we just don't have enough bots. Partially because the bots are not exactly speed. Did fast transport ever bring higher quality bots? No. So we will just drop down what bots we have. Did Aquilo Support 2 ever pick up the legendary bots? No, it didn't do that either. Okay, so that's fine. We will make do with what we have. And those extra 100 or so bots of each type should help, at least in theory, keep things under control. So you aren't getting any carbon fiber. We're actually just out of carbon fiber here. So that is a problem. Which one of you guys is supposed to be bringing the carbon fiber? It's not Aquilo Support 2. Is it you? Yes, it's you. So let's boost that up to 2,000 per trip, which was probably necessary to begin with. Probably just necessary anyways, but now it's extra necessary with our Turbo Speed Foundation production. So Aquilo Support 2 has 100 foundation apparently. Or no, it has 50, there's another 100 on the way. And then you're going to stop by Novice and then make it back up to Flagora. So fast transport. Oh, I didn't click that to have it assigned, so you weren't requesting your fusion power cells. That's bad. So we need to definitely do that. And now those are just launching immediately. And logistics bots are doing fine. This particular roboport is filled with construction bots for some reason, which I'd rather them go somewhere else. Robot requests. I don't know how that works. So if we just like do something like that, maybe. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to set so that we just didn't stockpile robots in here at all. But apparently that's not an option. So that's fine. We can just clear that out. And figure out some way of getting those robots to move. So that is going. We are just waiting on carbon fiber for you. Aquilo Support 2 has its 150 foundations for now, which annoyingly won't be enough to get this all built. Now, I wonder if we can optimize this at all. So, if we take all that down and we just try to squeeze these in as close as possible. Okay, so like that. then we take all this stuff out, and we need to get you connected back up like that somehow, and then we can take all this extra. Okay, that one was apparently necessary. So we have that one connected up properly. Then we need to take that one back and get you connected up properly. Then, dang it. Then we can save on some of that foundation. And we can take some of this foundation back here out. And then we can do the same thing on this side. So we take these guys out and we just put them, not train stop, rail ramp. We just put them as close as they will get. So hopefully something like that. Then, oh, that was... Okay, so we need to just like clear out all this foundation first, and then rebuild only the necessary parts after the fact. So then you can go in like that and that. And alright, so now we have all of this stuff as unnecessary foundation again, which we need to remove. And just some of this is going to get instantly rebuilt, but that's fine. So you go up like that. You go up like that. So that is down to 164 foundation needed. And we're going to need to also adjust these guys to connect up properly, which is relatively straightforward. Alright, now that we've done that, is there anywhere here where we can just like scavenge up a bit of foundation that's not necessary? We can grab some of that. Grab some of that. And some of that. There's just like one random spot there. There's that little row there. And this is like the biggest place where we used a bunch of foundation, so it's probably where most of it is. We could also save it by taking out unnecessary lightning rods, but that seems complicated, so we're not going to do that. There's nothing of the sort over there. Alright, we're down to 138 needed foundation for this project. And then Aquilo Support 2 is gonna have to make this whole giant loop around to get back to Fulgora. And Fast Transport is over Aquilo, but doesn't have any foundation to deliver. So is the carbon fiber on its way? There's some carbon fiber on its way, but only 860. Gleba is still working properly and producing carbon fiber, right? Yes. That looks reasonably full. And you are item ingredient shortage limited, so let's just get you some better modules. Both kinds, probably. Although mainly productivity. So that should help out all of that. And this is actually supposed to be spoilage, because that's how you make sulfur. And this carbon fiber supply seems to be keeping up just fine. So the box is most of the way back to being full. You just want more Yumiko mash, which I don't even know how we're getting Yumiko mash into logistics storage, but it's probably fine. Yeah, I'm just not going to worry about that. It should be okay. Okay, we only need 128 foundations when all is said and done for Fulgora. Now, Aquilo Support 2 is tragically, hilariously slow. So it's going to take it quite some time to get there. It has to get to Gleba, and then stop by Novice, and then probably drop down some of those foundations to here. Yeah, Novice wants an extra 61 foundations for its own stockpile. So let's actually just get fast transport. You have your fuel, you've picked up all those railguns, right? So yeah, you can head back to Novice. And Aquilo is currently almost entirely stationary. Like, there's basically nothing going on here. Except for some of this random stuff in here, which I think just runs forever. But yeah, if we check the power grid, I mean, what? There's a couple cryogenic plants running and a couple beacons, and that's it. Okay, so over on Vulcanus, how is our legendary speed modules going? We have 161 of them, and they are just producing along nicely. So that should be fine. Let's get one of you to pick up legendary speed modules from Vulcanus. And then Novice can start requesting those. Okay, so you can request just to have 100 of those on hand at any given moment. And that should be all clear for that. So now we can use legendary speed modules around whenever we need them, hopefully. And what else was there? We wanted to get legendary foundries at some point. What does a legendary foundry take? Oh, refined concrete. This is why I've been putting that one off. Yeah. So we're going to have to come up with some way of getting legendary refined concrete, which, if we can get legendary concrete in mass quantities, then it'll be fine. If not, we're kind of doomed. And concrete is complicated and annoying. So there are two ways of going about this. The first way is... No, okay, actually, there's really only one reasonable way of going about this, and that is making a legendary concrete cycler here on Fulgora, where we have somewhere up here just an infinite supply of concrete. One of these machines here, I can never remember which one's which. Somewhere in here there's a machine which just destroys concrete all day. I have no clue where. Oh, it's this one, right? Yes, and actually, we've already set up a basic legendary concrete source here. So, we're gonna want to make this better, obviously, but it does seem to be taking, like, the bulk of this train line. Like, yeah, if we're actually just turning all of the spare concrete into legendary concrete, then that... I forgot that I'd done that. That saves an enormous amount of effort. Now, is this setup fine? Yeah, probably fine. could be better, possibly, if we used better... Let's see, these have the best modules even. Yeah, no, I think this is just basically all set up and fine. The fact that it's only produced 4,000 useful output in all this time is a bit worrying, to be fair. That's not all that much for, presumably this has been running for multiple streams in the background. But how much do we need? So the foundry needs 20 refined concrete each. And let's actually check. What are you used for? Oh, we needed you for legendary recyclers as well, so that's what those have been going for. We can make legendary nuclear reactors and centrifuges, heating towers. None of these seem super urgent. Unless they have like some extra thing. Cargo landing pad gives radar coverage distance. I don't know what that even means, or why we would care about that. Heating tower burns faster, centrifuge runs faster, recycler recycles faster, and nuclear reactor reacts faster. So yeah, none of these are super interesting. Now, refined concrete. So none of these are going to do stuff. The artillery wagon would get a better turret, I guess. Artillery turrets would have much better range, which could be fine. Legendary biolabs are just research speed, so that can just be brute force by having more biolabs. Cryogenic plants are crafting speed. EM plants are crafting speed. Foundries are crafting speed. Alright, so yeah, it's mostly just various construction things. So we shouldn't need all that much, right? So if we just put this together, we have probably legendary steel plates and iron sticks. We can make legendary refined concrete pretty easily. And up here we have regular refined concrete production. We have legendary gear wheel production. Okay, so let's... How much? We have plenty of legendary iron plates here, so that's not a concern. So let's just get those set up to make the steel plates and iron sticks. And those can then output to buffer chests with small supplies. And you just need to be legendary iron sticks, and you need to be... Oh, you're a furnace. Electric furnace, I think, is the same footprint, so that should be fine. And then you get productivity modules. And you get legendary iron plates in. Then the whole thing gets powered. And that should be everything. Oh, we need to have you have the legendary iron plate input and not 29. I don't know why it wants 29. Just set it to like 200. So that should make all of those, and then we import the concrete. Oh, let's also just get a beacon here, because these are going to be real slow otherwise. So let's see, where does that fit? If we put the beacon in there, it can cover all three of these machines. And this place is the home of the legendary speed modules. We can just pop some of those guys in. Then we have to replace that power pole. And then that should be plenty fast. And now we've got these two going. 1 per second, 29 per second. Well, that's some pretty impressive output speed. 1 per second is more what I was expecting to see. Alright, so then we get down another assembly machine here, and you are going to be making refined concrete. No, you're going to be making legendary refined concrete. And you're going to be... Okay, what? I clicked that button and something very unexpected happened. Legendary refined concrete. So you can't be productivity moduled. Oh, and you need water, actually, so this is a good spot for it. We're going to need to find somewhere with water here on Vulcanus. Or we can move all of this to Fulgora. But let's just do it here on Vulcanus. Assuming we can find... I know we have water in here somewhere. Actually, what is all this? This is meant to be our water source, and it's out of calcite. Did this get disconnected somehow? Ah, I see. Okay, yes, this did get disconnected somehow. So that just needs a belt going across to deliver the calcite. And then we will have, apparently, this very tiny water pipe in here. Is that really it? Yeah, that's apparently all there is for water here, so we will need to make do with the space that we have. So this heavy oil pipe we're going to need to move. So now that just connects directly down to there, and this should fit in. So you can make legendary refined concrete. There, you're connected to the water. And then you get an input and an output. Drones are so cool, by the way. I love drones. So that just gets pasted into there. And then this can be limited down to a stack or two. And then the whole thing gets powered up. And... Alright, so now we just need Fulgora to Vulcanus, which conveniently already exists. You can pick up like 1,000 legendary concrete at a time at Fulgora, and then bring that to Vulcanus. Okay, so Fulgora did eventually get most of this stuff delivered, but we're still 47 short, which I expected. So back up here on Aquilo, we have this running again, and now it's just going through as fast as we can get stone into the boxes. And that's even at full 700 logistics drones doing the work. So Aquilo support is gonna... It's gonna come back. It's gonna make another loop around eventually. And then that'll all be sorted out. So that should happen. Now, fast transport, meanwhile, I want you to pick up 100 each of the legendary drones, and maybe even 200 each. Yeah, let's go 200 each, and then we're going to bring those out to Aquilo, which has constantly been struggling with the fact that drones are inefficient on it. So if we just get better drones, then that should help solve the problem. It might take a trip or two, we'll see. And then eventually we're going to have to start looking into the fancy science stuff. But I still want to get legendary versions of all the machines first. So we're working on the foundries just by getting this stuff done, and you are still waiting on the concrete, so that will take a little bit. But then, I think let's actually just set up the rest of this. So you make legendary foundries. You need lubricant, apparently. Because of course you do, so that means we can't build you up there. Where do we have lubricant? Here we have lubricant. This whole long pipe. So let's bring you down to there and then out into this general vicinity. So then we can get this machine set up and get the pipe over. And now the machine gets powered. And we just paste the settings into a requester chest. Give you a passive provider chest, which is limited down to just a couple stacks. So all the rest of these things should show up. We should already have legendary green circuits and everything. Although we're going to need more legendary steel plates to keep up, but that's fine. Green circuits are fine. Tungsten carbide. We've drained out our stockpiles, but it should be okay. And it's just going to keep running. And then eventually the concrete will show up. So you should actually be grabbing that now, right? Yeah, so there's 1,000 concrete on the way, which will probably be a bit of a chore getting that up into rockets, but that's fine. And then that should be that. Meanwhile, up here we are out of carbon fiber again. So that is fine. Who's the one who's supposed to be bringing that? Still Aquilo support 2. Which I could have sworn I had set this. Oh, I must have set Aquilo quantum support up. So you can also bring up 2,000 carbon fiber. And Aquilo quantum support is on its way to Gleba, so that should be fine. Just checking again. This has plenty. Just because the sheer quantity of carbon fiber that we're going to be launching, I think I might want just a second box. Just so that we have more stockpile. We don't want this to like fall behind or anything, right? We might as well use all the Yumiko Mash in storage while we have it, right? Because it's going to spoil otherwise. So that is now going, and now we can store even more of that stuff. And that is that. Over on Vulcanus, we're still waiting on this. So we have 400... Oh wait, we need to set you up to actually request that. So where is... Up here, you are going to be requesting 1,000 legendary concrete. Just pop that on. And then that should get you all handled. So we have finally just like random boxes here are the primary storage for some of these things. Alright, I just saw legendary carbon get delivered. Not sure, I didn't even realize that was a thing that we did. Yeah, where... Oh, Gleba Stone delivers legendary carbon? Neat. Okay. Keep losing drones at Novice. Where's that? Also, this reminds me that I had this system up here in construction, which I should definitely finish you off a little bit. Let's stop having you go sort of horizontally like that. Just have you twist around like so, and then this is like weirdly close into the base. I don't know why I haven't expanded out at all from here. So let's get this set up. We're going to need the power to connect across. And then we just continue pushing that forwards. And we're just going to do that a couple more times and then place down an artillery outpost. Okay. Do we really need to be doing this? We've managed to make 1,000 stone, 1,000 legendary concrete here in the entire time that this has been running, which is kind of comedically bad. Also, speaking of things which are kind of terrible, this concrete is taking absolutely ages to launch, presumably because of how far the drones have to travel. Alright, so fast transport has all of its drones, so you can head up to Aquilo. And Aquilo Support 2 is here, and it's picked up 200 foundation. That should eventually make its way over to Fulgora. So that, everything seems to be just sort of chugging along bit by bit. This concrete delivery taking 20 years is an issue, though. So I think we will solve that by just, if we just yoink one of these guys and just copy paste like this entire setup, and then we bring it over here. Then we plop you down. And apparently Fulgora needs even more. It needs even more engines for rocket launch pads. So transport platform doesn't have those anymore. So you can, I guess, head back to Novice, and then Fulgora support. It pains me to add more things, but can you make engines? Actually, how do you make engines? Can we just make those on site? It'd be easier. We have a lot of stuff here, right? Green circuits, engine units, lubricant. And engine units are... Alright. I think we might already have those, actually. Let's see. If you scroll down... Okay, we have legendary engine units. So I guess if we just like copy paste this, set you to just make regular engine units, and then power you up. Are we? Okay, no, we're not short of productivity modules here. It's just taking a while to deliver them, as it frequently does. So that is fine. As long as it happens eventually. It is going to happen eventually, right? It's taking weirdly long still. So Fulgora Vulcanus has decided that this is the moment to stop by Aquilo for refueling, which is fair. You are actually super low. You have 18 fuel, apparently. There it is. Alright, so you're fine. You don't need to be set to higher stockpiles, I don't think. Now this needs regular pipes and everything else to make engine units. And then we grab another one of you, and we just set you to make electric engine unit. Oh, right, we need to bring lubricant in, so that's not going to work. Alright, so where is the most convenient lubricant belt? It's right over here. actually, by the legendary electric engine unit production. So we can do this. It's incredibly funny that we had legendary electric engine units here before we had just regular electric engine units. But now that should be resolved once these last couple bits get built. That should give us a supply of engine units to very infrequently make rocket launch pads. And it looks like the scrap system might have jammed. Why is that? Oh, I see. It's because of this new stuff that I added in. So we just need to make sure that this is all signaled, and this is going to be very temporary, obviously, because once this is built, these roads here are just going to be demolished entirely, and this is just going to be a pure loop. So we won't need to worry about that. That's all good. This stuff up here seems to... all these rows seem to still be running. That's good. And these green circuit buffers have completely filled. And this is all working. Alright, yeah, everything looks completely normal. So that's good. How is Aquilo doing? Still dragging your feet on the foundation production. Alright, let's drop down the legendary construction bots. So you can have some of that. And then we will need to load those up somehow. Which we're going to need to find someone in here which just doesn't have them already. Like you. Get all that powered up. And then you will be moving legendary logistics bots, legendary construction bots. So those will get all loaded up. And then should be a nice solid boost to Aquilo being able to get stuff done. And at some point we might also want to just completely remove all the old ones from here and only rely on legendaries. But for now, I think having both should be fine. It might cause weird stuff to happen, but we'll figure that out later. So Fulgorda Vulcanus, you're the one carrying the concrete, right? Yeah, so you're carrying the concrete and you are on your way, and you're a super fast one, so you should be there any second now. Or at least it would be a whole lot quicker if you didn't have to stop up to get a fusion refuel, but that should last you for a while. And this traffic jam has been solved, and the resources are flowing once more. So we just need this shortcut to get built. And let's see here. Which side do all these things need to go on? So this top row here is the output. So the trains are going along this way, which means this needs to go up to here. Okay, as expected. And then, so yeah, this is just a nice easy curve into this. So you go like that, and then you come up and go in like that. And again, we're probably going to need some signals on here temporarily, but this whole thing is not going to actually be an intersection once we're done with it. So it shouldn't cause any problems. we're just going to put down some temporary signals in there, which will hopefully do the trick. And we don't need any extra stuff to build that. It's all good. Reload Support 2 is carrying a bunch of foundation and is slowly making its way towards Novice and then Fulgora, because it has a whole complicated loop that it goes on. Fulgora to Vulcanus is almost on its way to Novice, and then it'll go to Fulgora from there. Transport platform actually has 100 foundation, so we can actually just send you out, and you might get there first before... Yeah, you should definitely get there before Aquilo Support 2 does. And then this will be built, and our scrap supply can be even faster than ever, and also cause less problems with other trains, which will be quite handy. So, has this gotten built yet? No. Also, these power poles need to connect up to stuff, so let's get that done. And then we check over here. This isn't getting any regular engine units produced. Alright. It is technically, it's just very slow, which is to be expected. So this is producing 0.06 per second. This is producing 0.06 per second. There should technically be a very marginal surplus of engine units, assuming that this is going well, which it isn't. Okay, yeah, so we need to get you like that, and then set all of these to higher numbers so that we actually get enough of them traveling through at once. And then the same thing here. We're going to do this so you get larger numbers in, and that will be absolutely no problem on the green circuits. It'll be actively beneficial. How many did that say that we had? 67, almost 68,000 green circuits just sort of lying in random buffer chests and passive provider chests. That's kind of absurd. All that constructing and deconstructing of these blue circuit production recycling things has definitely caused some weirdness. But hopefully that will get resolved, and all those extra engine units are being brought up here. I think we need to get up to 100. Let's see here. 200. So we need to get up to 200 electric engine units in order for that to work. And we also need pipes. We're making pipes, right? Yes, we're making pipes just there. So why are you so short of them? They're literally right there. What on earth are you doing? Is there some drone shortage? No, we have plenty of drones. That's a passive provider chest. This is a requester chest. We're just apparently deciding to bring the pipes in from the other side of the planet instead of from right here. Which is not what I would have done, but here we are. I guess we can speed beacon these guys. So as long as we just make sure we're not hitting anything with quality. You get a speed beacon, and you get a speed beacon. And that should make this all go a lot faster. Assuming the resources will show up. But it's not exactly a huge rush anyways, so it should be fine. Alright, Fulgora to Vulcanus, you've almost got your concrete. It's almost there, just another 5,000 kilometers to go. Transport platform is most of the way to Fulgora with foundations as well, so both of those little mini projects are going to come together at about the same time, it looks like. That's neat. And at some point we need to get these cargo bays delivered. Which, it's not urgent, but yeah, let's actually just remove those. I don't think we need that much cargo space anymore, now that we've swapped to this storage chest-based setup. We've got plenty of storage chests there, so it should be fine. Alright, transport platform. Yeah, they actually both arrived literally simultaneously. So there's the legendary concrete. And those should get drones. So those are going to pick them up, toss them in storage chests, and then some of them are going to go to make refined concrete. Like this guy here, who does have barely the effects of a speed beacon. So that should be fine. And all of that stuff is then going to get instantly picked up and brought to wherever we're doing the foundries. And yes, we have legendary foundries as of now. So that is all good. Everything there seems to be working. We are using a whole bunch of drones to clear out all these green circuits to keep this inventory empty. Alright, and then same time, transport platform has gotten its foundation down to Fulgora, which means that this has all gotten built. Oh, apparently there's a tiny gap up here which isn't in drone port range. So we're going to need to get the spider to go up here and build like these 2 tracks. Alright, so Spidertron is now in. That is built. That is built. And the trains are already using that. So there we go. That should just be the new default. And in fact, we should be able to simply remove that connection. And I think we also want that to not exist, just so that this doesn't get confused into thinking it's an intersection when it isn't, for the sake of having more simple signaling and stuff. So that all goes out. This can all go out as well. And I don't know what is... I don't know why that was so difficult to dismantle, but it's fine. We got it. And now we just need to... Let's see. So this road here, the only thing it does is connect into the scrap. So yeah, this is also fine to remove, as long as there isn't anyone stuck on it right now. So we might get some trains stuck doing this if they're off in some weird spot for whatever reason. But it should be okay. Oh, and we need to get signals on these tracks. So just every so often you get a signal. And yeah, just sort of spam those in. So there's decent gaps between them, but not tiny, not huge. Just enough to not cause problems. Okay, then we go down to here and we get a whole bunch of signals in this area. And that should be fine. So hopefully those signals will do the trick. And It doesn't seem like any trains got lost or confused in the process. Now, if we cut that connection off, yeah, we're still good. There's no warnings about trains not being able to find a path. So now all these guys are just sort of sitting here. That is like 3 signals in like a space of 5 inches from each other. So that's definitely not what we want to have. Alright, so now there are trains just absolutely crawling along this little branch here. And that should be pretty solid. It looks like, as we are kind of expecting / not quite hoping they would do, this loading is now the biggest delay. So once they load from there, they're able to like immediately get down to here. But they can't unload from here because this is only 6 unloaders as opposed to the 12 of the other setup. So let's fix that. So step 1 is get this all lined up properly. Yeah, we're actually going to have to pretty significantly dismantle all of this in order for it to work. So let's just take all of these belts like past that point out and just rebuild from scratch. So this all goes away. And that includes these belts here. So the good news is that the boxes can stay. And that means that we won't have to like completely refill them, and we can still keep some scrap input while we go. Although we are going to have to remove the power poles, so that will cause some of these guys to break and ultimately shut down everything. Alright, so we just have to fill up all of these areas with boxes like that. Then we need power poles in all of these gaps. And they have to be like exactly spaced correctly, otherwise it won't work. And okay, then I think from there the power poles connect up. And now we get all the rest of these stack inserters in. So let's just get all of these through. And alright, that's the inner row. Then we have the outer row. So these all go like this. And just a little bit more. Okay, that's all set up. And now we are waiting on just these power poles, which apparently need foundation, because this is just like on the very edge of everything. Alright, so now the power is back, which means we can go back to loading the trains up, at least temporarily. They're going to pull all of the remaining stuff in a second. Alright, so the way this works is we have 4 belts inputting, and we need to have them go in like this. Get rid of that random ruin. Across all of those, and then they go across that, and then across all of those. And then you do the same thing here. Go there, across there, and then... Okay, that needs to actually like curve up just so it doesn't connect to this, which is a clever trick that I've just now realized that you can do. That probably has other applications, come to think of it, but it's fine. Oh wait, these ones are for the sake of symmetry and niceness. We want these ones to be facing the other way. So that goes up to there and through. Then this one goes out to there, and then up, and then through. And we just have those all not connected up. So I think those are all connected in properly. It's kind of hard to squint at it and see, especially with the drones hovering directly above it, but I think that's correct. And now we get our splitting system in here, which I don't even remember how this works, but something like this. Are these all balanced? No, they're not all balanced. It should be fine, though, because I think there's still just always going to be enough output from these to satisfy the demand. So this just goes like that. And now that's running. Alright. So why are you waiting for source items? There's definitely source items in there. What is going on? Oh, you're full. Okay, so you just aren't going to be working because that's full already. And this one, we need these last couple of belts to go in for it to fill up. There we go. And this looks like it's working. It also looks like some of this isn't Mark III belt. But that's fine. Yeah, so this is not maxed out belts. You can tell because it's flickering like that. But the actual output of these is still not like... These can't store that much. So it's probably still fine with the delays taken into account. I guess we'll have to see. So theoretically, this should eventually fill up all these boxes and then stabilize. And we will see if that happens. For now, it's looking relatively good. Now, I wonder... There is definitely more we can do on this splitter here, in terms of making sure that it outputs 4 full-speed belts, or 4 equally balanced belts at the very least. But I don't know how much of a big deal that's going to be. Again, these are like mostly full, right? So I guess let's just try to figure this out. So let's just go over here. So we can have 4 input belts. And the way we would do this in Satisfactory is you would split each input belt into 4 and then merge all those up. Now that seems like a pain, but we can do a similar, somewhat more efficient... So now we have 2 input belts in here, 2 input belts in here. So these are each going to then be balanced, right? Hang on, let me think. So these output 4 balanced belts each of which is like half. And then... No, this is silly. I feel like there was just an easy way of doing this. So if we just have something like this, and how about this? So the belt which goes in here gets split evenly amongst these 3, but it doesn't get out to here. And the belt which is in here goes to all 4. The belt which is in here goes to all 4. But the outer ones only go to like 3 each. Wait, what if I just have like another row there? So this one just goes... I don't know, something like this might actually just do it. So this belt, half of it goes there, half of it goes here. So it can at least access the other sides, right? So it might not be perfect, but the outer edges can access each other, the inner edges can access everything. But I don't think it's necessary. It looks like this is filling up fully okay, including this last box, which would be the last one you expect to fill up. So yeah, I don't think this is necessary, so we can just leave that on the drawing board for another day. And for now, we can just make sure that this is now all going properly. So you are successfully outputting all of that, and it's getting crunched down. That all seems to be working. Transport platform, you were here for a reason, but I can't remember. I think we already did that. You were supposed to deliver engine units or something. Fulgora support is over Fulgora. It's got so many things. It's got so many things that it's good, and now it's headed off to Novice. So fast transport, you are above Aquilo. How is Aquilo doing? Has the Foundation stuff gotten figured out yet? It's still producing as fast as it can, but it's still going to be probably running out of some stuff. Got 5,000 tungsten plates, 300 carbon fiber, lithium plate is produced on site. So yeah, the carbon fiber and stone are still issues for you. And it looks like we aren't having much luck building up a stockpile of carbon fiber, so this is still at just slightly less than one box. Which is interesting. It means that we have like almost exactly the right amount of production for how much we're draining. So there's more stone getting dropped off and more foundations getting picked up. That should all be clear. Over on Vulcanus, this was like the big thing, is that we have 19 foundries and we are waiting on tungsten carbide. Okay, so our tungsten production, we are making full use of it, right? So all of these machines are going, and they are absolutely moving with their plus almost 1200 mining speed. That's pretty dang good. And they're fully max efficiency and everything. And every ounce of tungsten that comes out is either going into this recycling system, or if not, it's going up here to this recycling system and or this random belt. So yeah, every ounce of tungsten that we have is getting turned into tungsten carbide, theoretically. We're not low on carbon or sulfuric acid. It is purely just the tungsten carbide, which is the limiting factor. That's not surprising at all. So, how much of an issue is that? We have 19 legendary foundries already, which is pretty solid. So are any of these things that use... Okay, so the big mining drills up here are capped out. So that's good. I'm going to think, is there anything that's using tungsten, legendary tungsten carbide, that we haven't made max efficiency if it can? So we're going to want a lot of extras for quantum processors when we eventually get up to doing those, which I believe we will want to do eventually for, I don't know, maybe legendary railguns or something. To be fair, I actually don't know if this is going to be necessary, because I don't think we're doing legendary science at any time soon. So yeah, let's just assume that that's not an issue. So the tungsten carbide is probably fine then at our current production rate. It's It's not fast, but it is going. It is producing, and we have 19 of these. Gosh, it really takes like 50 to make a foundry. Yeah, it takes 50 to make a foundry, and then we do get the built-in productivity, so technically it's more like 30-something per foundry, but that's still a lot. Now, the good news is, I don't know how many legendary foundries we'll need. Foundries are incredibly fast machines anyways, and when you combine with all the speed boosts, like, a small number of these will go a very long way. So, I think tungsten carbide supply is close to good. We might want to go out and grab like one more patch at some point, but otherwise I'm happy with that. And if that's the case, then so tungsten carbide is good, and I believe tungsten plates didn't do anything that we wanted to make legendary, right? So obviously we've got these belts which do nothing when legendary. Fusion reactors and generators, I think we can just skip on legendarying them. They don't really need it. Science we're not doing. Artillery. Legendary artillery is... Legendary ammo for anything is gotta be like the most wasteful way to use legendary stuff. And yeah, if we want to do legendary railgun turrets to absolutely blast through stuff, like even then it's range, it's not like damage or fire rate or anything, so it's not even that much more useful. So yeah, I think we can skip those two. So what about calcite? Like what do you use calcite for that we might want to do legendary? So these are all producing only fluids. I guess we could turn legendary calcite into 10x legendary stone if we really wanted to. But that seems... Actually, I guess this recipe is like 15-1. But I don't think that's at all necessary. And then none of this stuff really matters. So yeah, we don't need legendary calcite, that's for sure. We don't need legendary tungsten. We've already got all that. So I think in terms of doing legendary stuff, all of the Vulcanus unique things are basically solid. Like we have this as a good source of legendary, what's it called? Legendary copper and iron. And it seems like we've got plenty of each, right? Yeah, these boxes are reasonably full, considering how many of them there are, at least. So that should be all good. So I think we can kind of just ignore Vulcanus for now, except from when we're using it to boost stuff up into space. And the power grid's fine. We got solar panels, we got fusion generators. No concerns there. And yeah, foundries up to 21. It was at 19 just a moment ago. Alright, so Vulcanus, your legendary production stuff is basically fixed. Unless we want to do legendary calcite cycling to get legendary stone for some weird reason, we shouldn't need anything there. Now, Gleba is next. We've done a fair amount of experimenting with legendary stuff on Gleba, but let's just run through it all to see what we might want. So, Yumiko seeds. I assume legendary soil does nothing. Yes, that is correct. So we definitely don't care about seeds. So the mash, just... So we might want legendary carbon fiber for legendary stack inserters, because those have faster rotation speed. And that is about it. I guess tool belt equipment for inventory space, if that's a concern, but inventory space doesn't seem like a huge concern. We've already decided we're probably not doing legendary quantum processors. So carbon fiber is probably not necessary. The other outputs of this are bioflux. So, bioflux, how does this work? You are used to make nutrients, which legendary nutrients are kind of whatever. Legendary Bioflux itself lasts longer, right? So that would be useful for storage purposes. We've spent a lot of time trying to get bioplastic to work, and it just is not worth it. Biosulfur is an option. So, what is sulfur even used for? Nothing of interest, really. Okay, so that's all fine. So we don't need to worry about that then. And what else was there? Just agricultural science, which I guess if we have... actually, pentapoda eggs. What are pentapoda eggs? They're nutrients, pentapoda eggs, and water. So the nutrient ingredient prevents us from just absolutely printing out loads of pentapod eggs from just pentapod egg cycling. Because if that nutrient ingredient weren't there, we could have legendary pentapoda eggs as the input to legendary pentapoda eggs, and that would be quite handy. We might be able to do that for the bacteria. No, because that would require bioflux as well. So I'm not really seeing much that we need to do for legendary stuff here on Gleba either. So what are we trying to make anyways? So this is like the list of things which we could reasonably want to make legendary for the most part. We have foundries, we have recyclers. Offshore pumps, absolutely not. Pump jacks apparently don't even have a legendary upgrade. Mining drills we've done. Furnaces, I guess, although we don't use them much. Captive biter spawners to make more biter eggs could be nice. Biochambers are not that much. So yeah, we can do legendary biochambers, I guess. I'm just not entirely sure why we would need them, but it wouldn't be terribly difficult, right? We've already seen pentapoda eggs are not that hard to get. Landfill would be a nuisance there, so that's something. Getting all the legendary landfill would really suck, but it is what it is. So then we have... Where was I? I was looking at the legendary biochambers, which would be nice for expanding out Gleba. So we have to get pentapoda eggs, nutrients, and landfill in legendary form, which none of those should be hugely difficult. Agricultural towers don't do anything legendary. So we have EM plants as well, which we should be able to do now, actually. We have refined concrete, we have holmium plates, process units, and steel. Cryogenic plants, we would need to go back to Aquilo, get legendary lithium plates for that. And then that's like most of the machines, right? I guess better range on lightning collectors could be cool, but definitely not necessary at all. And we've got all the modules, except for efficiency modules, which who cares? Alright, so yeah, we're mostly getting there with regards to making legendary buildings. So these guys, we could get better storage size on the chests, and more equipment grid on the Spidertron. The trains don't do anything now, but they will in a coming update. And I guess legendary inserters would be a thing that we could potentially get with legendary carbon fiber. So that would be like the one thing that we want to be doing here on Gleba, is getting legendary carbon fiber for inserters and legendary jelly as well. Alright, yeah, I think we're pretty good on that front. And then, once we have all of our buildings made legendary that we really want to have, then we're going to be moving on to just mass producing science. So we're going to need red science, should be easy. Green science will be kind of annoying because we're going to have to craft up some stuff, which no one ever wants. Inserters and transport belts, tier 1. Military science is going to be a lot of stone. Chemical science should be easy. Production science, that's a lot of productivity modules and rails. So yeah, these are obviously going to get more complicated as we go until we hit these guys where they sort of even back out. And then Prometheum science is going to be like the end game of everything, where we need a whole bunch of all of these things. That's going to be hard. But yeah, so basically that's our goal. That's our plans for the future, is get the last couple buildings made legendary. Then we start making large amounts of science. I don't know what goal I'm shooting for in terms of like a final science per minute. I'm going to need to do some math to figure that out, but like I was thinking maybe the thing that I would shoot for is like a full stacked turbo belt using both sides. So like what I have on all of these guys with like where even would that be? Where would it have a full stacked turbo belt on both sides? Yeah, like this. Oh, actually blue circuits. It's a good thing I looked here. Blue circuits are apparently dead. Rest in peace to the blue circuit supply. What has happened to you? There is... Oh, I see what's happened. Okay, so this stop needs to be renamed to empty stop. Okay. So that is that. And then you need to get just toggled, I guess. And so now you will leave, and what even... Oh, I see, that's just providing the blue circuits for this whole thing. So you will leave, you'll never come back here, and then you will be providing the blue circuits for this. And it doesn't need many blue circuits, right? So even just this sort of half belt of blue circuits there should keep this running for a fair amount of time. Honestly, it's surprising that it actually fully drained at all, considering absolutely massive amounts of the stuff is recycled. But yeah, so back to our plans. I think my end goal is to have one full green belt using both sides of every type of science. And that's going to be what... I have to actually look at one of those to see. So it's 60 items per second, but then they stack to 4, so it's going to be 240 science per second of each type, theoretically. So that's going to be our goal. And once we have that, I think that is when we're going to call that sort of beating the game as far as how I'm satisfied with it. And then that should... It'll take a little while, probably. We're going to have to do a lot of expansion on a lot of these planets to be able to accommodate that much output. Like, even this stuff down here is, what, like 4 EM science per second total? So we're going to need massive expansion, and it might just turn out to be completely impractical. We'll have to find that out. But that's the goal, is more science than you know what to do with, basically. So I think we're going to wrap up a bit early today, just because we're at a good stopping point where we've gotten a whole bunch of tasks done and not quite got everything planned out in my mind for moving on to the next stuff. So we're going to wrap up early today. Thanks for hanging out. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's about it. I will be doing Factorio again on Monday, where we'll probably either finish off the last of the legendary production steps, or we'll get very close to it. And then Tuesday will be Dyson Sphere program. I've been having a lot of fun with that game. You should definitely check that out. It's like Factorio, but on a circle is the best way I can have it. Like, the planet actually wraps around. It's very interesting. So, that'll be on Tuesday. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So make sure to follow if you haven't already so that you know when I'm live and what I'm doing. And that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will see you guys next time. Bye.